Welcome to International Longevity Center India. Thank you for using our official YouTube channel. Kindly subscribe the channel and tap on the bell icon which is present below the video so that we can keep you updated. So we are here today for a webinar session by Dr. K.R. Gangadharan sir. And he has been associated with ILCR from many years, and we are so happy to have him here. So today's topic is geriatric caregiving in care homes for the elderly during the corona pandemic, challenges and interventions. So I'll shortly introduce Sir, and then we will begin the session. Dr. K.R. Gangadharan is the founder of the country's premier exclusive private geriatric facility, Heritage Medical Center, established in 1994 at Hyderabad. Since then, he co-founded two units, Kshetra and Kshemalayan, Hyderabad, focusing on rendering healthcare for the elderly. He is currently the executive committee member of the National Institute of Social Defense. He is a member of the Group on Welfare of the Senior Citizens and Disabled, constituted by the National Human Rights Commission. He served the committee to formulate a policy on the distribution of assistive living devices for seniors and the committee to review the Maintenance and Welfare Act 2007. He served the International Federation on Aging as a board member for 10 years and became its global president during 2012 to 14. He served as a board member of the Washington, D.C. based Global Aging Network for 5 years. He addressed the White House Conference on Aging in 2005 and the United Nations New York in 2012. He was involved in the formulation of the National Policy on Older Persons 1999 and served as a member of the committee to review it. He was also invited to share his experience with the WHO Zero and UN Escape. He was invited to address several international conferences and across the globe, and he has few publications on the elderly by the UNFPA India as a consultant. You can see he's a founder of Kshemalayan and Kshetra, so he's the right person to talk about today's topic. So I welcome you, sir, and please begin the session. Thank you. Sir, please unmute. Yes.
Thank you very much, Ashita, for that brief introduction, and also thank you, Anjali and the International Longevity Center, Meghna and others for inviting me to share our experiences of this important topic on what is happening in care homes and during this pandemic. Having, being part of a unit that plenty of units, 4 units we run, and also, having visited several old age homes during this pandemic period, we have probably I thought I will share some of those experiences, which would be useful for the knowledge of people who are interested in aging. So I would like to be as brief as possible. At the same time, I'm only sharing not theoretical perspectives of what is happening in the old age homes. Most of the pictures that you see are all taken from various places, particularly in Telangana and Tamil Nadu, because where we are working extensively through the Regional Resource Training Center, being in charge of responsible for Tamil Nadu, Telangana, these two primary states. We also share our own experiences because we have 4 facilities in Hyderabad. And so we do have people who can pay for it and experiencing kind of a problem that homes across the poor old age homes experience. So can we start on the presentation, Shada?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wait, I'll share it.
As you share, let me also tell. It's been an experience that we have, gone through from lot of worries and fear. Initially, everybody was worried what is going to happen to them. And but I would say that from the point of view of our experience and what we have seen, I think things have taken a much better shape than what we anticipated would happen. Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, this is the first one. That's actually last one.
Oh, sorry. No, sir. I'll change. Yeah.
So what is important is that when we are showing about this, I think Heritage Foundation, we took a lot of initiative in not confining ourselves to what is not happening. but instead understanding how it's happening and what is the experiences. And we have also had an excellent experience of having, several countries. The last 4 months of time, we have had at least about 20 to 20 country presentations that we have experienced. So therefore, we are very proud to feel that we all run these old age homes in India much better than what majority of the countries around the world have done. Because I think the government of India also took some quick steps, and all of us were also very, conscious about the fact that we need to protect them. So therefore, I would say we managed it well. Now, can you go to the earlier slide?
Yes, sir. First one, right, sir?
This one. Now, please understand, this is the most vulnerable population. With a lot of risk. I think externally, I was talking to somebody in USA in some other meeting. I was told that 90% of the people who died are rated to be over 65 years. That was absolutely a very, very threatening picture. And all of us know that also when the European countries experienced aging problem of pandemic, majority of the people who died were all in old age homes. I think that was a big lesson to us in India. I think India probably we are all, I would use the word, we are all very smart. So we quickly acted. And for example, our facilities, we never let anybody come in. We never let the staff go out. I think it was not by force. It was more out of our, what is called concern, our ability to talk to the staff and retain them. I think that's what has happened across in at least old age home that we handled in both Tamil Nadu and Telangana. At least Telangana and one old age homes, we had some problems of, having, cases of coronavirus. But in Tamil Nadu, practically zero. That was something very interesting for us because we took a lot of care. Now, so this is something that we need to bear in mind. Can we go to the next one?
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking at, conceptually, we are understanding how the old age homes are all limited to poor, no family, not living in family. They are the people who are going there for independent facility. So, only poor people are not having family primarily choose, except those, the second category of choose are people who want to be independent. We don't want to be remaining with the family. We don't want to be a burden to them. And then you have both paid facility and free homes. I'm going to talk our experience of both paid and free homes. And the third category is what is called assisted living, where people need, they cannot be independent. They need some assistance with the activities of daily living. That's a second category. The next one. The next one. Yeah. Now, why people move into old age homes? I think one of the major things that we have seen is, we have found a lot of people wanting their elderly family members to be in homes because they found this more safe. Now, in our case, what happened for about 2 months of time, we refused to take any new patients. We refused to take any new residents. So it was a, it was a case of difficulty. Now, what really happened was when we stopped taking people, we had, the typical situation that we experienced where they were getting frustrated. The old people themselves were getting frustrated because they felt that since we talk about safety, we are not letting them meet people. A lot of families, in our case, in Heritage case in Hyderabad, majority of the people were 80, 85, probably even 90. A lot of them probably 101, 102. So now most of them did not know what is happening to them, so that was safe for us. But there are people who, the family members said, we don't want to come. We don't want to come and infect your place. So the independence need were definitely affected. A lot of people were affected by that. Third is a companionship. The third, then everybody wants to go there. I think we have seen a lot of old age homes today in the last 2-3 decades of time. A lot of old people come because they're finding relationships better in institutional setup. The fourth is the death of the spouse. People who don't have a spouse. Now, in our case, very, very recently, just about 10 days ago, we have a very unfortunate case where the gentleman is from Pune. He lives with us in Hyderabad for the past 6 months of time. his son is a president of what is called Polaris IT company, and he had some health setback at the age of 62, and this father is 94 years. Now imagine the son died at 62 because of ill health, nothing to do with the coronavirus. But the father, 94 years, he has to cope with this kind of a loss. Now the question is, 62-year-old person dying because of some health reasons, and 94-year person, cursing himself that he has to be alive, so healthy, and he is extremely healthy. He makes food for others. He enjoys food. He teaches. He gardens, and he does all kinds of work. So it's a kind of companionship, kind of a relationship. He doesn't have a wife, of course. Now the question is, can we go to the next one? It's very interesting to find. I think I told you the figures just now. This is the WHO figure. 95% of the deaths occurred in older than 60. 95%. Imagine the situation in Europe and American countries. We are all far, far, far above than what it is. We should, with all that negativism and all that lobbying that we did, the government took a lot of efforts. The government of India took a lot of efforts across the funded national old age homes across the country. They made sure that adequately things were controlled. In the case of Tamil Nadu, they went very, very deep into finding out what to do, how to prevent. And there were cases where Tamil Nadu government was pushing some people into the old age home during coronavirus. The ministry took a very firm stand that no new entries will be allowed in any of the old age homes unless they are proved negative for coronavirus. Same thing happened in Telangana. Telangana went one step further. In the old age home that we are located in a place called Kukatpalli, it became a red zone 4 months ago. Now, we were not allowed to go out. None of us were allowed to go out. None of us were allowed to enter. Let me tell you, the Municipal Corporation of Hyderabad, Police Department, they came every morning to find out what we require. They ensured that milk was supplied, groceries were supplied, and vegetables were supplied. I think that's the kind of a care they took. So therefore, I think the concern and the fear that existed in the Western world did not exist in India. I think that's phenomenal that the communities work together. And as you see, 8 out of deaths are occurred in individuals with at least one comorbidity. I don't think there is any individual who can claim himself to be free from any kind of a health problem at the age of 60 plus. It is next to impossibility. Because anybody at 60 plus will have a blood pressure, will have diabetes if it's been there for a very long time, must be having a knee problem, must have a foot problem, have a back problem, have a shoulder problem. Some problem or other will be there in addition to the typical problem that old age brings in. Diabetes is one of the biggest problems that we have come across. I don't think that Heritage would have anything less than 70 to 80% of their patients or residents without diabetes or hypertension. So that is the situation. I think this figure of WHO Europe is a very clear indication what they went through. Next. What is the challenges? I think I'm talking about the challenges. Practically limited visitation. Families, no friends, no medicals, no medical doctors, no others. But let me tell you, it's phenomenal. You find telemedicine that was spoken about in the last 30 years of time became an actual practice. I think today the doctors are able to talk on the telephone and then give instructions what to do. They're able to see the patient on visually. I think it's phenomenal. The telemedicine that we are talking about has taken a fruit, practice. So practically everyone is on computer. I don't think there are consultants coming to our Heritage facility for the last 4 months of time. Nobody has ever entered. Everything is on consultation. It's something phenomenal that we are able to do that. There's challenges. That's one of the biggest challenges. Not families. Sometimes families. There are family members who are 75 and 80. They have family members. The relatives could be in a Heritage Medical Center or any other facility that we have 95, 100 years. So the family members themselves are old. So the next question comes in non-availability of close relatives. Practically, nobody can visit. They're very anxious to visit. Now, we have had a lot of cases. The challenges could be limited. There are limitation is also has other problems, which I'll tell you as I talk about it, wearing masks. I think communication is a. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wearing masks is one of the biggest challenge that you have, because the moment you close your mouth and face, part of the face, you don't know whether you're smiling or crying or laughing or what you're doing. I think that's one of the biggest challenge that we continue to face even after 6 months of time. People are demented, they're mentally ill, it doesn't make a difference to them. But if people are partially, healthy or probably fully healthy, in our case, no, there is nobody who's normal. No, I don't think there'll be even 10% of the people who are normal in our facility. Most of them are diabetic. Most of them are, dementia patients with Alzheimer's or dementia cases, and very few of them are, who might use the word, who can really understand what's happening around. So that's one of the biggest challenge that we have, because patients' relatives don't come. Emergency care. I think as far as we are concerned, we would have probably lost in the last 6 months of time about 6 to 8 people would have died. Mr. Mittal says he can't hear me.
No, sir. You are audible.
I can't see the video.
Okay. Okay, you can't see, but I'm able to. My video is on. Are you able to see, Ashada?
No, sir. Your name is popped up, but I think it is because of the limited connection. But you are audible clearly.
Yes, you are clearly audible and visible also to me. I'm Amrita here, sir.
Yes, Dr. Gangadharan, please go ahead. We can hear you very well.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Then comes the approximately 50% of the adults age 60 and above suffer from a mental disorder. I don't think this is my statistics. It's a statistics across. Depression, anxiety, and can be, depression is something that probably, most of us are insensitive. A person is sick, we are letting them, when you look at the bedside girls who are ladies and men who are working with them, they do it mechanically. They may not understand what is the patient, what is the person going through. I think this is something at this point of time, the staff themselves are challenged. The staff themselves are challenged because they're also worried about what is happening in the family. So when you look at this kind of patients where dementia residents use regular reminders, how do you really do that? Close the face and go. We insist the staff don't go open mouth. Mr. Mittal says he cannot hear. His messages keep popping up. Now, I think there's nothing I have control on this.
Sir, I think, I think, sir, my colleague will assist him. You please continue. Yes.
Then dementia residents, so reminders, how do you really do that? Those are all the big challenges that we face. Loss of facial expression, I've already mentioned. Performing last rites, one of the biggest challenges that we have ever faced in the last 27 years is last 4 months' time. I will explain to you a little later on that. Social distancing. I think it's practically with the patients with, anxiety disorders, depression, and dementia, it is practically difficult, extremely difficult. Can we go to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Now, I have used the word situation-based. Please understand, this is not everywhere. And everything is not, what I have mentioned maybe 20 points, but you could all add another 20 points, 40 points, 50 points. So don't think I'm limiting the challenges faced. So there could be more challenges. I'm only sharing what we have gone through, what we have learned from our own facilities and those people who are closely associated with us. Social, no occasions, please understand, the moment you are told that you cannot go somewhere, unnecessary pressure comes on us. It is not that we go every morning and evening. In my case, for instance, I think this is my first attempt in my life that from 1985, it's almost 40 years of time, I have not gone out of Hyderabad for 10 months of time. Unbelievable. But understand, that has become the new norm now. Will I go once again? No, I may not go once again. I may not be interested in going once again. I may go only with my family for holidays, but not for any professional work. If I'm going to talk on a video like this, which I'm doing plenty, I will do, but I may not want to go. I think that is something that is going to happen, but not all accept this. Increase anxiety level among the family members and pressure on them. Please understand, the family members are feeling guilty that they're not able to look after them. So they ask all kinds of questions. There are people we have seen that they are getting unnecessarily anxious. I've got a brother of mine who's 68, who stays with me at home. One fine morning, he had fever. And so what happened? We were not able to go to the doctor, so we shifted him to our own hospital, medical center. And they said he's heading for a coronavirus. One of the doctors. So what happened? The moment they told us, we shifted him to another hospital. He got the CT scan, then everything was done. There was no coronavirus. What happened? People were fearful. Then what happened? When we brought him back with a lot of anxiety. So what happened? We created in our home ICU with a ventilator, with the oxygen, with all that equipment that could go into a private hospital. We had it at home. And we put 24-hour nurse who can be there inside. For 15 days, we ensured that he was not going to be affected with coronavirus, nor any of the family members. Because in these two buildings that we live with daughters and others, there were 20 people, including staff working. So we don't want anybody getting. Please understand, the biggest thing that I mentioned there is a fear. Fear is a huge problem that we face. The moment all of us don't want the God because we don't want this fever coming into us, that virus coming to us. And for some reason, we are all scared of death. We don't want the death to happen because we feel that we can do something more. So that's one of the biggest things. And the fourth thing is, I think we have seen a lot of newspaper articles. This has not happened in the old age home that I have known in the last 4-6 months of time. At least about 80 to 90 old age homes we have been in touch continuously. Even yesterday, I had a meeting with all the Tamil Nadu old age homes. There has not been abuse in old age homes, but a lot of caregivers abuse is coming in the family. I think a lot of us have seen a lot of newspapers. I think some of the pictures that I've shown is also gives you Times of India News or Deccan Chronicle News or Hindu News or Hindustan Times or all this. I think that's one of the biggest things that cause for abuse, elder abuse, is a major worry for us. Then comes turnover of paid caregivers. Please understand, today, the number of staff that we employed in Heritage was 300 bedside assistants. I think today we have brought it down to, I think we don't have even 65 people to work with us now. Practically 80% of the people have left us, 75% of the people have left us. No, they have gone back and they are not able to come back. And when they come back, we don't want to keep them because we are also very worried about what will happen to our residents. So that's the biggest problem. Paid caregivers have gone. Now, there are a lot of people who have exploited the situation and then charged 10,000, 15,000 rupees per day and housing them in the places. And please understand, they don't give you guarantee for non-corona cases. So we are very particular about what we do for the existing residents, numbering to more than 140 people. Now, lower pool of caregivers, and it's hard to recruit and train. And next is question of train. Now, what have they done in the Western countries? The Western countries have reduced the number of training hours from 120 hours to 60 hours to 10 hours and 12 hours. A country like America, gone perfect. They have just brought down to 30 hours of training. That means in a week, a caregiver is made ready as against 90 hours. So I think people have gone desperate because no lower pool of caregivers, and understand caregivers are difficult to get today. That's a big challenge that we are having. Then understand, particularly old people want the familiar faces. They don't want a new person coming in to work with them. They are not very confident about it. They are very conscious about the thing. They feel insecure. Pool of caregivers give. I think this has been one of our biggest challenge in Heritage and the group. How to retain people and how to maintain continuity, how to recruit new people. I think that is one of the biggest challenge all over the world. This is not in Hyderabad. This is not in India. Across the world, challenges. Now, allowed residents to have socially distanced visit with loved ones, but with the spike in cases, only essential end-of-life visit. In our case, probably I will explain as I go, typical situations what we really faced. So what happened was end-of-life carers alone were allowed, but even that is not cases. In a lot of cases where the government decided any death, suspicious case of coronavirus, they did not allow last rites to be performed. I don't think we had any control on that, though the death would have been, death invariably in the case of old people are not due to coronavirus. But the government declared it death, so number is the question of big confusion came in, but that's a major thing that happened to us. Then comes Recommendation to maintain distance from those at a high risk isn't possible in case of those in need of daily hands-on care. What a very Western model. In the case of Western models, when the old age homes are purely in an air-conditioned atmosphere, that itself is a big risk. Now people are going to be working in an air-conditioned atmosphere. They're going to wear all those masks and the PPE equipment, and they could face the temperature. But this is not happening in the case of India. 90% of the homes are not air-conditioned. I don't think we are going to talk about 10% of the old age homes which probably totally air-conditioned, which are hardly any number. So that did not take place, and it's not going to be possible for us. I think the person requires medicine to be given and then on a glove. It's not good. It's a big challenge. Ability to pay for care has taken a big beating. Understand? People are postponing, treatment unless the old person has a pension to give. In our case, quite a number of people are paying out of the pension. They're not looking for the family members to give them money. So they're all comfortably staying with us because it is safe for them. But where the patient families are making co-payment, they're paying 20%, 30%. I think that's become a big challenge. Quite a number of people have lost their jobs. Now the question that comes in is not able to admit new residents unless quarantined. So in our case, what we did, after 3 months of time, we picked up a place close to our facilities, 2 facilities. We used them only for taking people for 2 weeks of quarantine, had separate staff, ensured that they are free from coronavirus. Then we admitted them in the regular cases. And most of the people who are desperate about coming to the facility, they did that. And I can tell you, we have not compromised on the quality of care. But in cases when they are being isolated in a place, there could be a compromise in quality of care because there may not be a proper nurse, there may not be a proper doctor, there may not be a proper staff on that. Can I go to the next one? Now, this is a typical, I just picked up this from, this is a study done in South Africa. One of the presentations, one of them made. Understand, it's a very typical situation. Government delayed, for example, you just see the measure of third caregivers. What really happened was the measures taken by earlier were protective measures were resulted in cutting them off from the family. Please understand, I think our concept of care all over the world is family. I think the moment I have a daughter, son-in-law, grandson, granddaughter, I'm very comfortable. But this coronavirus has separated the people from family. They're not allowed to go into the facilities. That's one of the biggest challenges that we have. And if you really look at, one of the respondents you have now seen here is 16 age records disease, where, good number of people, number of responses that you see, so much of fear. And, one was a fear in the care homes and fear of death and fear of not able to see in the case of family members. I think these are all the 3 things that went in that was extensively taken place in the Western countries. I think in our case, it is not taken that kind of a shape unless somebody says it's happened in this place like that is possible. From our point of view, confusion, loneliness, depression, frustration, anger, desperation were extensively reported in South African studies, particularly in Cape Town. This is a study done in the Cape Town. Now, mood, behavior, cognition will automatically affect at the moment I'm not able to see somebody. I'm going to be really upset about it. Can I go to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm just coming to probably the last part of the not part of the last part of the presentation, which is, what is our obligations under the MIPA and the NPOP. I think they make it very, very clear in emergency situations, older people are vulnerable, and it's our responsibility to take care of it. In respect of the, MIPA, Madrid International Plan of Action, as well as that of the NPOP, made it very, very clear that old people have the legitimate place in society, and there it is the responsibility of the society and the government to take care of them. And that's so on that basis, I go to the next step. Yeah.
Next one, sir.
Yeah. So I think I definitely.
Yashoda, have we lost Dr. Gangadharan? Yashoda? Have we lost Dr. Gangadharan? You're mute.
Are you all right now?
I'm not hearing.
Are you able to
Very
hear me?
erratic. Very
Hello?
erratic. Just can't make out what is happening.
Okay. Take minute. I'm
Speaking erratic.
Is Dr. Gangadharan there?
I'm very much here. Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
can't see me. Okay.
Okay.
And a lot of wires are being taken away outside, so we are having a lot of troubles here.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So many elections. Go back, go back, go back, go back, go back.
I think this one, right, sir?
No, go back, go back, go back, go further.
Yeah. 1990. After this, we were here.
Yeah.
This is the one.
Now, if you really see it, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and followed by the Ministry of Social Justice issued wonderful guidelines. I think that guidelines make a lot of sense because the agencies that were receiving money from the government of India in respect of old age homes were able to follow basic guidelines issued by them. And some of us were very closely related to the old age homes and ensured that they follow. I think even today, on an average, we visit 2 to 3 old age homes through a video conference. We call them and ask them. We call some group or some old residents to ask them questions, ask them how they are, how comfortable they are. That is not to check. It is not to question, but just to make them feel good that we are all together with them. I think this is something that we need to understand. And now, when you're talking about the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare as well as Social Justice, those living in children care homes are to be looked after by the frontline staff, such as cooks, multitasking staffs, nurses, and superintendents. Understand, ultimately, the doctors don't go there. Their doctors are not allowed to go there. Nurses who are coming from outside are not allowed to go there. Social workers were requested to go outside. They're not allowed to go. They are limiting themselves only to the staff who are staying 24 hours in the old age home. It's a lot of stress on these people, but let me tell you, they have controlled the disease from entering the premises. It is something phenomenal. I could practically say out of about 90 old age homes that we are in contact in Tamil Nadu and Telangana, except one old age home where we have found coronavirus, 89, no, nothing. It's phenomenal, fabulous. Next one.
So,
Yeah. No, I think I'm just showing you what is really happening. What is the government has done something. The government wanted a lot of things to be done. These are all, let me tell you, these are all representing about 8 to 10 old age homes in Tamil Nadu and Telangana. You find a lot of Tamil written portions. There are also a lot of non-Telugu. These are all Tamil Nadu. They have done little more aggressively because Tamil Nadu government took little more aggressive step. Therefore, you find a lot of printout being given. But just see all the pictures. Everyone is mouth closed. Now, I always ask them, are you closing the mouth because we are asking information? They're telling, sir, you call us any part of the night, any part of the day. You just, at a call, you will find people are wearing masks because people are very, very scared and they don't want the spread to be. I think this is what the government of India has done extensively. I must also compliment to all the old age homes, whether it's paid or unpaid, they are taking substantial care, unbelievable quality of care that majority of them given. Please, I do not want any of you to think that I'm only presenting only a positive picture. There are negative pictures, but they are very, very insignificant. Can I go to the next?
yes, sir.
Now, I think what did we really do? I think this is something that we have done is to, prevention, sensitization to education and monitoring. I think we have had this constant contact with those old age homes that we are very, very closely related to, either by the government of India or our own personal interest relationships. We have ensured that PPEs, or for example, our inspection team from Heritage Foundation went to almost about 80 old age homes in the last 4 months' time. The entire inspection team went with the PPE equipment. Nobody went inside without PPE. Now, the old age homes where they went, they were also very happy to provide them PPE in case we had some shortage. I think that is a kind of a kind of a commitment that they had. And I don't think any old age homes is allowing any visitors to go. Nowhere. If they're letting them go, they're asking for trouble. I think that is a kind of a thing that they've controlled the spread of the disease so well. And the sensitization came in was, when you really read every day, again and again, you are talking only about same thing. What is it they are talked about? Close your mouth, wash your hands, keep a distance. Are the three major things that you have to follow. I think this is something which is constantly communicated to the old age homes, the social workers, the superintendents, and whoever is the owner of the facility or the chief function of the facility. I think this is something that's happened, hand hygiene and all those kind of things. And understand, people have found it expensive to buy alcohol-based, hand supplies, hand wash, hand rubbing, and things like that. But they're still doing it. They're telling that this is a short time. Let us do it. We'll find money. Understand also the challenge. Also, they're not getting donations anymore like before. Earlier, they used to get free food. They're not getting anymore. I think everywhere, I think people have become conscious. At the entrance, they are saying, "Don't do this." Wherever you go, people are telling excellent. If you come to our facilities in Hyderabad, I can tell you there is nobody who will walk without a face mask. Even people who are staying there for more than 2 weeks of time, within themselves they will not. But nobody is allowed to stay out of the building. Everybody will be staying only inside. And nobody is allowed out from outside. People who are going from outside are only selected number of half a dozen staff. That would probably, I go there once a week. My daughter goes there, twice a week. We limit our entry and exit there so carefully. I think this is something that we have done about education and monitoring. Can we go to the next one? Now, this is a beautiful thing that we have seen. I'm not able to show you the beautiful video. I think we had something with the government of India, Ministry of Social Justice, and with the state government of Tamil Nadu and Telangana. We had some program, what is called the music therapy. Now, when we had music therapy, what we did was we brought 10 old age homes together. They all performed, danced, one after the other.
Nice.
And it was so much of learning for others to think that despite all these challenges, International Day of Older Person was so beautifully celebrated in 10 old age homes simultaneously on a day for 1 hour. If you see here, see the way the physical therapy is being done, yoga therapy is being done in old age homes. Now, please understand, each one of them are different old age homes. Everything is different except one that I have shown, Kshetra, with the Independence Day celebrations on August 15th. All those are different. You see one of those old age homes that the doctor is sitting with the PPE kit, completely doing things. And in another old age home, you see the Tamil Nadu column. People are receiving with this kind of a thing on an International Day. And dance and sequence music was absolutely fabulous. I think this is something that we need to understand. Interventions, thinking that it is difficult to do things, we are not going to find it easy to do. We can't get this. Initially, everybody said we are not able to get vegetables, we are not able to get groceries. But let me tell you, within 10 days' time, all of them said they are doing extremely well. I think what we have ensured everywhere and through us or directly is do all that we can do to maintain a sense of normalcy. I think we ensured that normalcy was there. There was no birthday celebration left. Staff and residents were worked together throughout the last 8 months. Please understand, it is not one person job. Lot of them, plenty of them work together. Highest level of infection control is the one that we personally, in our facilities, we ensured. Let me tell you, we are able to ensure that even in poor old age homes. Music therapy is a very, very strong factor even today. Everywhere people are singing songs. They're all dancing and playing games are normal things. And there are old age homes that I have seen where they play bhajans. It's continuing despite all this challenge. Some of them are probably closing their mouth and singing songs. And understand, virtual connectivity has become the order of the day. So the fear factor has come down, connectivity is improved, and old people who are staying in residence are not having family relatives coming every morning and evening in any case. They are only calling on them occasionally. So they are able to communicate with them on the telephone or 90% of them are virtually connected. All our facilities are well connected for the audio. That's where it is. And go to the next one. I just looked at it from the point of view of motivational theory, psychology. What really happens in old age homes during this time? I think the lowest order of a need in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is food. Food, clothing, and shelter is the lowest need. I think everyone is assured about it. There was no person of anybody feeling fearful about it. The second order is safety, which is absolutely assured. Let me tell you, every management that I have interacted with this is fabulous, unbelievably true that they have taken care of them. Nobody said old people let them die. No, they said no. Every person who is staying with me should continue to do well. And the third theory, is a sense of belonging. Is the next need. I belong to this group. Let me tell you, I can give you the number tomorrow. You can call them and talk to them, and you feel how found they are, how happy they are in old age homes. The last, an esteem and self-actualization does not arise in the case of majority of the old age home because they have passed that stage of even understanding old age. So let me tell you something that's happened in the case of next one. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now, before I go in this subjects, which is last almost, there are a lot of reports in the newspapers in the last 1 month time. A lot of old age homes in across the country have been blacklisted or been removed from the funding of the government. And let me tell you, I have been personally talking to the government of India's ministry over virtual chats and requesting them not to be so rude at this point of time to remove them from the list. But they have decided to do it because there have been a lot of, what they call fraud. They call it, they're not keeping up the standards. They're not giving money, but the money they're receiving from the government, they're not keeping up pace with that. So that's where the big challenges come. I think some old age homes have already been, delisted, and we are worried more of them will come because of whatever reason. I don't want to get onto this. I just want to know that there has been, that kind of a challenge. Now, what are the comments we received from the NGOs? It's very interesting. We provide provision for more than 1 month to center during the fourth week of March itself. Imagine, this is in the month of March when the moment the issue came and all of them had 1 month provision. I mean, this is something phenomenal that they planned so well. There was no way shortage of food. The initial stages, staff could not reach because they didn't want the staff to come, so they were not able to reach. Now they're not allowed to go outside. Residents stay within the premises. They're not even allowed to go outside for a walk because they're all confined. Procurement of vegetables initially was a problem. Doctor visits, they stopped the doctors coming in because doctors carried the very virus. So they didn't want them to come. Initial problems were there, but today they're all beautifully well conquered. And initially stages, that all of us experienced. There was no mask, there was no hand gloves, there was no sanitizers. All that is now well beautifully controlled. I think some governments have taken extraordinary steps to ensure old age homes are well looked after, and including Telangana and Tamil Nadu. Like in vegetable food grains, initially, I think the cost went up and the old age homes are suffering to pay that extra cost because they were also not able to get donations. Doctors were not possible. Procurement of milk initially was difficult, but now it's all gone. And residents of few homes left to participate in the social environment. Some of them left and they were not able to come back. Now, when they are not able to come back, the big challenge the old age homes had was, as per the government of India's norms of 25 old persons in an old age home, they did not maintain that number. So that became a big challenge. I think some of the old age homes have blacklisted only. One of the reasons being this. Can I go to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Many homes stopped part-time staff, which is very fair. Face master, in our case, we provide face mask to every resident, every staff. Every resident in our facility has an assistant. So all of them are provided mask. Then old age homes, which were very poor, they ensured the distance between two beds increased to the extent they could afford in the limited space. I'm talking about the old age homes run for the poor. Hand washing has become a practice. Earlier, nobody was washing their hands. Now everybody is scared. You all go and wash automatically. So therefore, there is a little extra use of water. And the hand wash, but they couldn't afford it. And restricted visitors is something phenomenal, fabulous. It is just fabulous that restricted visitors in all old age homes have become an order of the day. What do you call when you talk about the new norm? I think we have evolved to new norms automatically. I hope I will complete this in another 5 minutes time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, temporary suspension of new admissions. All of us are very cautious about who comes in and who doesn't come in. Municipal personnel regularly sprayed and disinfected in majority of the old age homes and around the place. Personal hygiene classes taken. I think this is continuing even today. We keep continuing to tell the staff why. Now, old age homes, poor old age homes are getting into difficulties because of this lack of sponsors. So what happens when the sponsors are there, they get special meals. I remember I visited one of the old age homes in Tamil Nadu who said, "Sir, we provide 365 days special meals morning and evening with the sweets." Because he says we run it so well, we get a lot of money. He said everything is stopped. Everything is stopped. We are not allowing anybody to come. We are not allowing anybody to come and cook, not getting outside. This is a luxury that a lot of old people. A lot of people also are suffering collection of pension problems. I think the government, some governments have taken pain to go and ensure that old age homes are getting their pension delivered in their old age homes. Next one. I hope it's coming to an end. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I think this is the last one. So I just looked at some of this. I just look at this police officer who is doing an excellent job, and look at the other case, a doctor in Chennai hospital, where they're all only old people who are all being discharged at one stroke. It's unbelievable. And then you look at the Supreme Court, seeks detailed reply from states on the play of elderly of the pandemic. What are they doing? So Supreme Court came heavily, and you are seeing on the other side unexpected deaths. You don't know who dies when, how they die. We don't know what is happening. Now, I've also shown you a lot of programs that we had, 3 or 4. I'm just going you only 2, 3 programs. We had, what kind of experience they are having. And I think the international conferences are taking in a very big way to understand what is happening around the world. I think these are all the things that is happening. Now, here, son abandons an 82-year-old man infected with coronavirus. I think there are occasional, abuses that we have already reported. I think I really want to close it by telling, I think I would say, I think as a country, as families, as society, leaving, instances of bad experience, I think we have really looked after the old people very well. At least I will feel very proud that having established a hospital in 94 and having established 4 centers, we are very proud to say that we have really looked after old people very well. We are very proud about being, contributing to the field of aging in this country. I'm very happy that ILC felt it necessary to have this kind of a webinar and invite me to speak. And thank you, all of you, for attending. I'll be very happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you once again.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Gangadhar. Wonderful lecture.
Yes, actually.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm really enjoyed. You are too fast, actually.
So that is his energy, actually, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
full of energy always.
Okay. Dr. Gangadharan, thank you so much for the crisp and to the point presentation. And you have done the justice to today's topic, actually. So we are open to the questions. Please raise hands. Yes.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Gangadharan, nice to see you on the
How are you,
webinar.
Kanan?
The basic point I would like to say is that we are a training center in Kenya for caregivers. And it is so ironic that we do not get enough adequate students to the caregivers training. I think with your influence and experience, can you ask Government of India to make certain concessions and make it as a skill development program?
Sir, let me tell you, Colonel, good evening, Colonel. How are you?
How are you?
Well, now let's understand one thing. I think I have explained to you the challenge that we are facing as people. Nobody is willing to come and work. Please understand, everybody is scared. Nobody wants to work and nobody wants to leave the family. Please understand, let me tell you, we have huge number of experiences. To give you one of the examples, I'll give you one of the retired. Now that, we have Mr. Jayant Umrakar, I'll tell you, we had one of the retired Director General of Police who got admitted in Heritage Hospital 6 months ago. Now, he died. When he died, he had no family. We couldn't locate where his family was. Please understand, Director General of Police. And at the time of admission, it was told very clearly that we don't have to communicate with any of his family member ever. And he died. And let me tell you, we called family members. They said, "You are not coming. You do whatever you want with the body." Now, this is a typical case when the families, they're very, very rare cases for us where they couldn't come. There are cases where we lost people, they could not come from outside. Understand, the staff are not willing to go to burial grounds all the time. So we have never experienced this in the past. Only 4 months we experienced. Ever since 1994, we never experienced having to take a body to crematorium. But we found it in the last 4 months' time, we have to take at least about 6 cases to crematoriums because there is no family member available. They were not able to come. They were not allowed to come. Now, not because none of us, no cases, we never had a case of coronavirus. So what is happening? There is a lot of fear. I think fear is one major factor that's prevented people from going in. Now, as far as the skill ministry is concerned, please understand they are all trying to do, but you are not going to get people because it's physical work. We have to go through this pain for some more time. You can talk to all of us have spoken to the ministry. We have had a lot of meetings. We are all having regular meetings in the ministry because we are running an RRTC. So we have regular, review meetings. But we are telling we are not getting people. Let me tell you, even if the ministry gives me 5 lakhs for a 30 program, I'm not going to get people. So that's going to be a challenge that we are going to face. We don't know how we are going to face it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Gangadharan. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yes, yes, Lakare, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, Dr. Gangadharan. Avinash here.
How are you? Long time.
Yeah, after a very long time. Thank you very much. You are a really nice presentation, and really it's a commendable job what you have done in the old age home at Telangana and your side. I like one point about this is fear factor, which you took very important. It's a very important factor you have told about, and this fear factor was among all the seniors most throughout the globally about this COVID. And by virtue of this musical therapy and other therapies, by getting them connected, you have done a marvelous job. Congratulations for that. Now, about mask, what I personally found in all the webinars and all the things that as you go towards the north of our country, you will find the people are going away from the mask. So it's really terrible job. And now let's wait. And what is your comment on this now for the upcoming second wave, so-called? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your appreciation. Let me just, I told you, I'm feeling very proud about the fact that I got into this field in 94. We are very happy to do what we are doing. We have nothing to look back and say, why did we not do that? But as far as the second, third wave is concerned, as far as our institutions are concerned, our connected institutions are concerned, which I'm very happy to be part of, almost 100 old age homes in Tamil Nadu and Telangana. I have one-on-one rapport with all the staff and everyone. So let me tell you, we'll be able to control it extremely well. We can only do limited way we are able to do that. Now, as far as the government is concerned, government is trying to do it, but how much they can do, I really don't know. I won't be able to do it. But I'm not worried about second wave or third wave, except that personally I feel bad that I'm not able to do a lot of things. We are getting old. But the fact remains, we will do whatever we are expected to do. We'll ensure that every resident who's staying with us are protected. I think that will be our concern because they're coming to us with a confidence factor. That's what we will do. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Because our Dr.
Okay,
Anupama is here, so that I think Anupama can share about the Delhi issue.
Wait. Okay. Thank you, Lakare, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. Yeah.
Yes. Raina, sir, can you please ask the question?
Hello.
Balarao, sir, you have to wait, please. Raina, sir, unmute yourself, please. Hello. Raina, sir.
Can I speak?
Raina
Okay.
Saraf, please
Yes.
unmute yourself.
Hello, Ganga. Nice to hear you.
Pleasure.
Yes.
This is Singara. Paid old age home and free old age home universal.
I've lost.
Can you repeat the question, sir?
Hello, Dr. Gangadharan.
Please go ahead.
I congratulate you for this very topical, relevant presentation. It was a very detailed insight on the very challenging issues during this pandemic and difficult old age home management. You have talked about some music therapies, very revealing. And we can find that there are good interventions in Tamil Nadu and maybe Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, but we find very little sort of interventions in the north. I can say about Uttarakhand or other states in the north. There is not much happening, no aggressiveness from the government. Could you please tell us, because you have been so influential on the subject, what is happening on this old age? I mean, national policy on older persons. It is there since 99 and nothing is happening beyond that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm going to answer this later. Now, I answer this. Now, any other?
Okay.
I can answer.
Bhagya ma'am. Bhagya ma'am.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Professor Gangadharan, I just have a simple question. Maybe you have mentioned and I have skipped out. It has skipped me. Are there any people who have left in the middle of Corona? The older families have taken them back?
Okay, I'll answer that also. How are you doing, Dr. Amrita? Long time.
I am doing very fine because this experience, I am speaking from an old age experience with an old age homes in the suburbs of Pune. 50%, it's a small one, very small facility, but 50% people have left. The families who could take them back, they have taken them home in the security. So what was your experience in these states where you are working?
Thank you. I will definitely answer it once I finish 3-4 more questions so that I can answer it.
Okay, no problem.
Save some time.
Yeah, I'm here.
Sir, I'm Dr.
Okay.
Vinod Shah.
Yes, sir. Shah, sir. Yes, welcome.
Gangadharan, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. How are you, big man?
I am doing well, and it's really a very educative and thought-provoking speech, and I like that. So at least many senior citizens will be awakened with this, with your talk. Nice one.
Okay. Thank you.
No, something has gone.
Vijay said, sir, do you had a question? Do you have a question? Okay. I think Gangadharan sir, you can answer the questions and we can close the session now.
Fair enough. The first question is about Dr. Rainas talking about particularly, one was a national policy, second is on the what is happening on the North India, the particularly northern sector as compared to the southern sector. Now, I think you should have an access to on a website a study done by the UNFPA India 2013, a report that was published, which talked about 7 states in the country which had the maximum number of old people proportion. Now, please understand, rest of the country never had that kind of a proportion of a number. So, southern states have definitely aged much faster than rest of the country, except Punjab and Himachal Pradesh. On the other side, West Bengal. So, what happened? The awareness in these kind of states took place maybe 35 years ago. All the old age homes are set up in Tamil Nadu as early as the 1970s. Same thing happened in the case of Kerala. Whereas in the case of the rest of the states, aging became an issue only recent past, that too after a lot of communication and talks and things like that goes on. Now, I think that is one of the reasons it's not taking a kind of a shape that it should probably take. Maybe because they're not giving importance to it at this point of time. The second, as far as the national policy is concerned, I must also join a chorus with you to say that I'm also being. And I think we're all getting frustrated about it. The new national policy has also been drafted. There has been a committee that was involved in drafting this policy, the revised policy. 2010, I'm not talking 2010, I've never mentioned about my involvement in my biodata also. I removed it from there because I can't be now telling I was a committee member and nothing was done. So I removed it from my biodata. So now the question is, there was another review took place in the month of May. Now, again, a lot of recommendations went, including from our own end as a regional resource training center. I really don't know what is happening. In the meanwhile, they announced something called a National Action Plan for senior citizens. Now I understand a lot of states are right now not interested in doing anything because they've got other things to worry than just senior citizens policy. And where the money is 1 crore and 1.5 crores. So the states are not showing any interest at this point of time. So I presume this is not going to be the time to talk about national policy on older person. It's going to be slow down for some more time. All over the world, right now the focus is on how to ensure old people don't die. Two, how to ensure people are not abused by the families and the relations. I think this is going to be the focus, not even associations will get any importance at this point of time. None of the, I think, facilities providing care for the old age, particularly those in the poorer sector, below poverty line will get all the attention. So other things, I'm not seeing that. I'm not a policy maker to tell you that, but I'm not seeing that from the discussion that I've had in the past several months with the Ministry of Social Justice, either with the secretary or the additional secretary. I think since Dr. Shah might probably have some information more than what I have to talk about this. In respect of Dr. Amrita Bhagat's question on taken back home, I can tell you in the last 6 months' time in Heritage, we have 4 facilities in Hyderabad. Only one person went back. Nobody else want to. I think old people themselves don't want to go back. They feel safe at home, at an institution where everything is protected, than going home and where you are going to have servant maids coming home, workers coming home to maintain the house. Risk factors are definitely much more for an old person who's frail. And second thing, in our case, 99% of the people require ADL assistance, which means nobody is independent. So they prefer to be at home. So we never expected the loss. As I told you, we lost about 6 people, which is normal death for us under normal circumstances. We have nothing unusual to report on that. Now, in the old age homes, which I referred in my report, when I made a presentation, I told some people who went to be with the family for a function, they could not come back because of the travel restrictions, or old age home did not want to take them back. But otherwise, there was no incidence of people taking them back. In our case, nothing. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Gaurav. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gangadharan. Okay.
Hello.
Balarav sir, yes, please. This is the last question. Yes, please.
Are you hearing?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Please. Yes, sir.
Mr. Gangadharan sir.
Yeah.
I like it to. Are you hearing me?
Absolutely, I'm hearing you very well. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Go on. Yeah.
Irrespective of Corona, I suggest that every taluka place there should be an old age home. Nowadays, people are now having pension. In future generation, only survival is the point. So government or any NGO should help this. Every taluka place there should be those who are getting pension. They are okay, but what about others? So government should have. You should pursue this matter for that. That what I have, my suggestion is like that.
And we can pursue it. No? Yeah, we can pursue.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Anjali ma'am, I request you to say a few words and then we will close the session.
Umranika sir, would you like to say anything? Please unmute yourself.
So,
I just want to thank Dr. Gangadharan, a wonderful lecture, very, very educating, and the kind of nuances he has brought out about old age homes and the kind of care they have to take during pandemic is really amazing. I'm very happy that he could spare so much of time for this topic, which is a very important topic. In fact, yesterday we had International Longevity Centers Global Alliance meeting. There also the same thing was, the subject was discussed, especially the fear among the caregivers as well as the doctors as well as the relatives. And a Brazilian colleague brought out another aspect, which is lack of sensitivity. He was mentioning that in Brazil, when people are going for the last rites, out of 100, he found that 95 people were looking at their mobile rather than looking at the rites. So probably longevity centers are going to issue a statement regarding the insensitivity that has percolated into the society. Well, I don't want to add anything more. I will request Anjali to give the closing remarks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
A very big thank you to you, Dr. Gangadharan, for taking up this very important topic, especially in the present pandemic situation. And we wanted to learn firsthand from you the experiences that you've been having dealing with this very great challenge, I would say, handling an old age institute, which is one of the most vulnerable segments of this pandemic. And we can see through your presentation and what you've told us how confident even these patients, the senior citizens, were wanting to stay back with you rather than go back home. And given your challenge of having the trained caregivers staying back or maintaining the continuity of caregiving for these dementia patients, sir, who wanted to, who require familiarity, who require that kind of constant continuity, you have done an excellent job. And you have answered, or you have been able to throw light on the situation in these old age care homes very well. Thank you so much for giving us this very, very in-depth kind of insight into how you've been handling things in this challenging situation. I think there will be a time when we'll be requesting even Dr. Vijay Raikar to share his experiences with Athashri sometime in the coming next couple of months. A very big thank you, sir. And there were a few, as you said, erratic situations, but I think we'll have to live with this in the new normal that we talk about, where
Yes,
budget issues
Yeah.
continuously, impacting our communication. But thank you once again. And thank you to all the participants, my ILCI team, to Mr. Umranikar. All of us are very nice, are very happy to have met each other through this. It wouldn't have been really possible meeting long
Same
time.
here. Same here, Anjali dear.
Yeah,
Really
it's
nice to
nice
see
seeing you,
you all
Dr.
and your
Ganga.
office people
A big
also.
thank you, yeah,
And
to
Ganga
sir
also.
and all the participants. I just
Oh,
want to
thank
make
you.
just one announcement and we will then close. So today's lecture and the previous lecture by Dr. S. Sivaraju sir will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. We'll be
Oh,
sending
good.
you the links. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
And
See you on
the
next
next one,
Saturday.
Yashoda,
Bye.
next one is by Dr. Mala Kapoor.
Yeah, Dr. Mala Kapoor Shankar
Here
Das.
with us, even in
Wow.
this session.
Good,
Yes.
good.
So, and Anupama, followed by many others which were planned.
Yes. So,
Very good.
Thank you so
okay.
much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Good
much,
day.
ma'am. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.